5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shoot.
So my advice to anyone is really our life is what we make of it. So and it's really the manifestation of our past actions and decisions. So if we're living in a world that we're not happy with, really we've only got ourselves to blame. And if we want something else, then it's only our actions and our choices that can build the future that we want for tomorrow.
Is awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. And we're talking to Dr. Chris Jeffery today, one of our favourite Brisbanians, and really humbled and privileged to have the honour of talking to you today and celebrating some of the cool people we have here in Brisbane. Well, I've had the privilege of following your journey, right from the beginning, I guess, up until now. You're really a mover and a shaker in more than just one area, and especially what I find personally so I guess like incredible about you is how you've broken so many
silos.
Yes, that's it, like silos, and just redefined I guess organizations to be able to fit in with the way that you want to shape the industry.
Okay. So I guess probably to take a step back, so I grew up in Brisbane, really in the humble suburbs of Wynnum Manly.
That's so cool.
I was the first one in my family ever to really graduate high school.
I know. Actually, that was like one of the points about your life that really drew me to you.
Thank you.
Because that's my husband's the same, very similar. Please continue.
So from there, I describe my life really as following the bright, shiny, bouncy ball, and it's a phrase I've used quite a bit of time. I originally enrolled into engineering at university at a whim, realistically. I went to QUT because they gave pizza on the open day, and I chose engineering because I thought Iron Man was cool, and I like robots. I was fortunate enough that I originally went there on a sports scholarship for rugby league, which I continued over my first year of studies until I was kind of finding it difficult to, I guess, maintain my academic obligations and go to training 5 nights a week, play another day, play club on the other day, and then try to do a recovery day. So I had more days of recreational obligations than there were in a week.
And that's really tough, right? Yeah. Because you would have been passionate about
everything, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I've been fortunate in my life that I've had the privilege of really being able to put my time and energy into what I'm passionate at the time, and that's how I, once again, the bright shiny ball that I've followed. So that, I guess, conundrum led me into, I guess, the second chapter or opportunity in my life, which is I transitioned from a sports scholarship to a military scholarship. What do you do when you're athletic and I guess good at math? You become an army officer. So at this time I was doing electrical and computer engineering, focusing on robotics, and I just became an army officer. So I continued through, graduated in 2007, and then went off to the Royal Military College of Duntroon to learn how to be an army officer, to I guess come good on my scholarship obligations. I was a young boy, and I think that was pretty good for me at the time. I was very much a lad, bit of I wouldn't say I was a naughty boy, but I was definitely mischievous.
But you've always had a great relationship with your mom, especially. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
She's always been a bit of a cheer squad for you.
But what was really good for that was, the military college really, I guess, gives you a vision and purpose and shows you how to, structure a plan and to deliver on that plan. And whether that was due to, I guess, the professional obligations of being an army officer or the way that culture molds you, it really grew me up a lot, over that point in my life. I remember, so that would have been 2008. that I finished there, and then I was appointed as the OPSO, the operations officer, for a prestigious company called 101 Field Workshop Company, and I was sent to live in Darwin to run our armoured engineering division. And I think I assume I did well, and what the army does when you're doing well is they reward you, and that rewardment is with a deployment. So in 2009, I deployed both to Iraq and then sequentially in Afghanistan.
Wow. So how long were you in Iraq and
For
Afghanistan?
9 months, full stop, for the duration. So initially for the end of the Iraq campaign, so we withdrew out of Baghdad and made a base around the what used to be called the south of Iraq. It's called Kuwait now, it's its own country. And that's when the war on terror really started. So we flew around Iran and occupied into Afghanistan through the Uruzgan province into Kandahar, and then sequentially through Tarankat. And that kind of, I guess, was the next chapter of my life. So my position in that battle group was what's called the adjutant. So, I mean, it sounds really prestigious, and I was very humbled and excited for the role. On paper, you answer only to the commanding officer, you're somewhat second in charge of the battle group, you're running around taking strategic vision and turning it into operational activities, you're making everything work behind the scenes. And really that's where I started getting my operational skills, my very good planning, logistical pattern making skills that have become highly valuable for me later in life, being able to think through multiple steps along a project to see where problems will be or where blind spots might exist.
Yeah, so that's where you sort of started looking, I guess, more at a team approach, and then the blind spots.
I mean, a lot of this time in my life, I guess the saying, you don't know what you don't know, and when you're learning it, it's not really, a lot of it's happening in the back of your mind. Before I deployed, I was the operations officer at 101, where there was 300 staff that I looked over, so quite a big team. Our battle group in Iraq and Afghanistan was around that size, maybe a bit bigger, around 500, and we were working with the US and definitely the Brits. There's other countries there as well, but quite big, complicated teams with a lot of like niche areas. So lots of operational plans and overlaps. But what I was saying is, whilst it got me, 9 months of working every day, thinking through these things constantly and not wanting to let anyone down, really makes it second nature. But where I was getting to, in Afghanistan, we were doing what's really called a Hearts and Minds campaign. So we were building a lot of hospitals, we were providing healthcare services, we were, there was a lot of landmines in the region. And as we were starting to push through territory, there was geographical migration of the people that lived there, and there's people getting hit, like legs blowing up on landmines and all these really sad things. But that was my first engagement into healthcare. So we were flying over healthcare teams, we were establishing hospitals, and we were providing this aid. And being the adjutant, maintaining operations, coordinating people flying in, flying out, making sure people, are appropriately safe there. I had to look after a lot of the surgeons. And I found their job fascinating. And I also, I guess, this was back in 2009. It was a different world back then. We didn't have Netflix or any of these things, so I literally, the only things I could watch or to enjoy with my recreational times, I had a couple of box sets of House and a couple of box sets of Scrubs.
And Scrubs. Oh, I love Scrubs.
So yeah. So it was all health all the time, between managing these big engineering tasks of healthcare provision, managing the human tasks and team tasks of surgeon management and VIP high stake people, which were generally medical orientated. In the bunk across from me was our battle group's doctor, and then watching House and Scrubs all the time. So I decided maybe I want to become a doctor. So I spent I think 2 months into that, I probably came to that position. And then for the rest of the 7 months, I started studying for the GAMSAT test, which is the graduate entry test for medicine. gives you something to do, I guess, while you're in a war zone. But when I came back, I sat the GAMSAP and did well, and was offered a position to study medicine.
Yeah, fantastic. So from engineering to medicine.
Yeah, once again, without a plan, without a pure vision or goal at this time. I mean, I think I was 22 or 21 really at this stage, so young. But I was just, doing what I found that I was interested in. I was
following the silver ball.
That shiny thing. I was already, I guess, in a world that I couldn't even imagine when I was a teenager. I mean, once again, my dad he drove a water truck for the council, and my mum was a stay-at-home mum. So,
Yeah.
this...
That's incredible.
This was a crazy world.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.